Morning everyone. Another video. This is my kind of intention, is to just share what comes through as guidance, or what I've been working through that can be guidance in the form of a video. So these will be very different. Sometimes they'll be me channeling, as you've seen. Other times it will just be things that I've been experiencing that I feel or I've been guided to share with you. And that's what this one is. And it's mainly around left brain and right brain learning. So how this has been presenting itself with me is these cycles that we go through with our development. We go through kind of deaths and rebirths, don't we? We shed an old programming, an old part of ourselves, an ego death, and that's always coincided with, there's a part of us, whether it's our soul or more, like a more whole part, so when we're more in alignment, where we're ready to step into something else. And so that's what sometimes causes the death, because if we're saying we're ready for the next, for what's to come, we have to get there, and so we have to shed what no longer serves us to step into that new role. And for me, how this has really come through with this phase that I'm in is observing the left brain and the right brain learning. And so I had one of those penny drop moments when I read something and it was the answer. It was just the answer, and it summed up everything that I've noticed in my patterns. So I thought I'd share it, or I was guided to share it, because I think maybe more of us do this and we realise, or we would, if we're not aware of it, bringing it to your awareness will really help. So let me think. So left brain is masculine, it's analytical, it's logical, and it controls the right side of the body. The right side of the brain is the feminine, the creative, the intuition, the all those feminine, expansive kind of energies, and that controls the left side of the body. There is in the brain, it's near the back, so it's called a decussation of pyramids. I don't know, I can't go into full detail of this because I only know what I know, but through my healing work, I work a lot with this area of the brain when bringing calm and balance to the nervous system. It's connected with the vagus nerve. And so, for whatever reason, how we're biologically created, this quite magical system that we are, miraculous system that we are, there's a decussation of pyramids where the wiring of the left brain crosses over and the wiring of the right brain crosses over, and it's like, it is literally a cross like that, and it's called the decussation of pyramids. And then it comes down and then round, and you can work with it with the vagus nerve, which is the nerve that sends information to and from the brain, which I think is the only nerve that does that, whereas others send messages up, others send messages down. That one does both. Anyway, getting a little bit off key, but it just felt right to share that. So this left brain, right brain learning, when we are in our growth phase, our going through the shedding, going through the stepping into the next role, we want to be expansive all the time. We want all the intuition to be coming in. We want to be seeing the signs and, reading all the synchronicities and everything, because that's what we're hoping to move to bring that light into our bodies. But where we are multi-dimensional, multi-layered, that can't all happen at once. Our physical body, emotional body, mental body, spiritual body, they're kind of on different layers of frequency themselves. So we need to bring them into alignment. So when we shift, after that shedding, there is a realignment that needs to take place, and there's an integration that needs to take place of the new light, of the new DNA, the new information that we're bringing in has to be brought into our system, and then our system, with all its different layers, multi-dimensional layers, has to come into alignment too. And that's what I've been feeling. I've been feeling kind of really tearful, but then really joyous, and this can be like within 1 minute to the next. And I just have this undercurrent with it though, of if everything's fine, you just need to ride this out because this is the integration, this is stepping into the next phase. So it's very confusing, and you all may be feeling this yourselves. So what I felt drawn to was books, which felt really kind of dense and physical, and like, oh, do I really want to be reading? I don't want to be reading, I want to be receiving all of this information. So I was a bit reluctant, but I just kept, okay, book, see it as an activation. Then I heard that, see it as an activation. And that's what the books are actually able to do. So it's not about reading a book from front to back and memorizing that knowledge. That's what the left brain will try and do, analyze, put it into some logical order and understanding, whereas the right brain will just kind of scan and take what resonates and leave the rest. And so that's what I discovered through this little phase. So I was calling these books, calling something to me. And then I watched a video, somebody mentioned a book or a name of an author. I looked it up, and it was completely explaining everything that I've been really feeling lately, which was I've been really feeling a strong connection with Sirius, and with Egypt again. I mean, I'll go off key here and tell you my background with Egypt. So when I was at school, as we all do, we learn about these things, don't we? This was infant school, and there was a period where we learnt about Egypt, and I remember my teacher telling my mum that she didn't know how I knew the information that I knew. We were learning about it, and I just kind of, it was just knowledge to me. It was already an understanding of mummification, of the gods, of, you know, it was just, she was just telling me something I already knew. But I didn't know that at the time, you know, it was just really interesting and fascinating, and I loved it. Turns out well, it doesn't turn out, this is just another synchronicity. My mum was born in Egypt, along with 2 or 3 of my uncles and aunties. My nan and granddad met in Egypt. So my uncle was stationed there during the war. My nan was there, who was Italian, and she was there with family who had migrated from Italy, and were living there to set up a business. I don't really know the side of the story on my nan's side. I think they had to leave in Italy because of a business breaking down or something along those lines. So they met in Egypt. There was a priest in the Church of St. Therese, who my granddad worshipped, who married them before my granddad went off again into the desert. He was a desert rat or something like that in the war, and it wasn't a legal marriage, but it was like a binding that they wanted before they went off, before he went off on his way, just in case anything happened. So there's a line of connection with Egypt in my family. Whilst they were there, 2 of my uncles, as children, they passed away, and they're buried out there. So once all the family had moved to England, and move the story on now to my granddad being older, he decided that when he passed, he wanted his ashes to be in Egypt. And so he'd obviously made this decision, and because he also wanted to stay connected to the sons that he had buried out there, we used to take trips to Egypt. I've visited Egypt 4 times, and each time I've been inside the Great Pyramid, the pyramid complex in Giza. I've been right up to the Sphinx. I've been under the pyramid in Saqqara. I've been to the Bent Pyramid, and I think that one's Dashur, or that might be the Red. All the pyramids, the main ones that you can think of, I've been there. I've visited them. My only unhappiness about it now is that I didn't have the knowledge that I have now. I was 11, then I was 15, then I was 20, and then I was in my mid-20s when we finally went to take my granddad's ashes. So, you know, but every time, unaware to Gemma, but maybe aware to Gemma's soul, there were activations, there were connections, there was something going on. And so at the moment, I've been really called back into explore that more deeply, and to explore my connections, because as most of you know, the first kind of next level wake up for me was from Anubis. That was the first contact I had from the next level after just being my healing self and doing my soul readings. The next thing that happened was I heard Anubis talk to me. So there's a connection. And so through all of this death and rebirth that I've been going through over the last year or so, this is the level that I'm at, is a deeper understanding of it all. And so this book that I found is just, it's just bringing all of these little pieces into my mind. And in it, the guy mentions about left brain and right brain learning, and my whole body vibrated when I read it. And so the basis of this video is, here it comes. We need that period of time of the intuition coming in, the downloads, the integrating the energies and the light and bringing it into our body. But it also needs to be supported by the left analytical, logical understanding of our past, or the so-called past, or you know, bringing us to the truth, our truth. And so the books, and if you ever feel called to immerse yourself in information, it's because that's the level of learning that you need right now. And some of you probably go, yeah, I know that. But for me, you know, books have always been hard work. Like, even as a child, my mum used to buy me Once Upon a Time Storyteller, and I would look at the pictures and listen to the words, because just it didn't interest me to read. It's never interested me to read. So all through my studying of my healing courses and, you know, all the other courses that I've practiced, it's been a real kind of slog to get into that logical side for me. I just always feel like it goes over my head when I'm reading. So I had to discover ways of, you know, I couldn't, if somebody was talking, if the radio was on, or if people were in the room, I couldn't read the words. It was too distracting. So then I discovered that if I read it and write it, then I take it in. And also, one of the most profound things for me was that I don't know, but I just used to think, well, I've read it, why don't I know it? Instantly. Because you see these people that can just read something and then just reel it off, and I'm not one of those, but that's okay now. But what I have noticed is that I read something, and then a week later, I'll just reel it off and tell my other half about it, but it will be in my own words, because all I've done is taken what resonated for me and turned it into my truth, or the parts of it that I needed to hear have activated something within me that are activating and accessing my truth. So that's kind of the basis of where I wanted to go with this video, is just to share that with you. That, you know, books, everything is an energy, isn't it? And so those books are somebody's story. They're somebody's version of the past. They're somebody's interpretation of what we're all trying to achieve. And for me, this is where I'm really being guided, is this isn't about moving into a future that is unknown. It's about remembering where we've been, because we're heading there again, just on a different frequency. So the books of the ancient scriptures, the ancient stories, within them, the ones that come to you are going to be the ones that will activate the next level of learning, the next phase. They may just have little snippets of information that will just click something within you to take you to that next phase. So for those of you that are like me, yeah, be a bit more open-minded about books and reading. So yeah, the book that I am reading, I can share with you. This is the one, or this is it's The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life by, if I can say his name right, Drunvalo Melchizedek. So I haven't got to, so this is the second volume. I'm reading the first volume, but this is the second one. I've not even touched the surface of the book. I can't believe the amount of information that I've learned and activated within me from just a small amount of book that I have read. But so he's very into sacred geometry. That's a big thing for me. That's learning. I've always kind of skirted around it, known a little bit, but this is deepening that knowledge as well. And I'm starting to just feel all of these pieces come together. And I think this is what it's all about. You know, we all have this idea that I think this society, this world creates within us, is that you create a goal, your aim is to get at that goal and not to think about the journey. Whereas for me, this has become all about the journey, and the destination, I'm really happy with the destination being unknown, because the journey is the part where I'm learning, I'm remembering, I'm discovering, and I'm enjoying, and it's exciting. The journey is the exciting part. So all of that from a book. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I have a request to ask to you all. With me stepping out of my comfort zones, pushing and finally accepting being seen, I have to ask you all to feel free to assist me. It's just an invitation in sharing these videos. If you feel called, if you feel you may know people that they may help. Yeah, so yeah, we can all help each other. And I would love to hear from you too, if this resonates, if you have any books that you know, as I've been reading, and you think, oh, she might like that one, then I'd love to hear it, and I'll have many to share with you myself. And not just books, you know, everything is an activation, isn't it? The cards that we pull, the feathers that we find on the floor, the shells on the beach, the shape of the clouds, everything. So it's just about being open and receiving. And one more request, actually, if you have any ideas of videos that you would like me to cover, then please feel free to let me know, and I will feel into them and do those for you. I have some interview videos coming up with some friends, some people that you may know already, where we will be feeling into what feels right at the time and having a chat about certain things, and I'll be sharing those with you too. So watch this space for those. And yeah, have a beautiful day. Lots of love. Bye.